Here we go again. We are about to embark on another 3-game week in the EFL Championship. We are going weekend, midweek weekend to take us to international break number 3. It is a weird kind of make-up between these two international breaks, isn't it? We've gone 3-game week. Midweek off, unless you are Wrexham or Swansea, who played in the EFL Cup, and then another 3-game week. And then there may be a few championship managers who don't want their phone to be ringing in the November international break. Has been a bit of a notorious graveyard for managers getting sacked, let's just say. Look, it's going to be a big flurry of fixtures, of activity. Hopefully, for your teams, a big flurry of points as well. We're going to take a look, try and get in front of it. I will throw out some theories. You can let me know yours down there in the comments. I'm going to talk about kind of logistics and opponent quality. And let me just spell this out explicitly if it's not clear. I present any theory with complete humility that the championship is total chaos and predicting the future is impossible. We're just starting a discussion here. And if you think that being unsure about something is a reason to stop talking, then you and I are very different people, because I think it's a reason to start talking. And that is exactly what I'm about to do. And we'll start with logistics. The first theory I will throw out, and it actually did get backed up in the last 3-game week, is that you would rather play 2 of your 3 games at home and 1 away. And the 9-pointers in the last 3-game week, that being Coventry, Millwall and Bristol City, all had 2 home games out of the 3. Ergo, nobody with 2 away games got a maximum 9 points. Very difficult to get 9 points. You'll take 6. 7 you'll be very happy with. 9 over the moon. But last time out, that did require you to be at home twice. Just that extra travel day in the 3-game weeks, you're dealing with 2 recovery days after games 1 and 2. You don't want to be throwing in travel days beforehand as well. You're literally just playing and doing no preparation and the odd bit of rest if you're on the road twice, let's just say. Look, obviously there's 24 teams in the league, so 12 teams have 2 home games in this. Let's rattle through: Stoke, Charlton, QPR, Leicester, West Brom, Watford, Birmingham, Wrexham, Oxford, Southampton, Sheffield United, Norwich. So what I tend to consider is who have got back-to-back home games, where, as I say, you miss out that travel day in the middle of the week, and whichever way you do it, home, away, or away, home, you pretty much get the whole week without travel and with reasonable preparation, certainly more so than the people that are coming to you. There are a few teams who've got back-to-back home games, so I would be optimistic in terms of logistics. We're obviously not taking opponent difficulty into account yet. We will. Charlton, they go home, away. So do QPR. So do Leicester. So do Birmingham. And so do Oxford. All 5 of those teams have back-to-back home games. Can you throw anything on that? Let me know in the comments. So, if we throw opponent difficulty into the mix, I think we would possibly most of us agree, I'm sure we'll get some pedants in there, that you would rather play teams that are lower down in the table than higher in the table. Don't worry, we will offset. We'll talk about the form table in a minute. But as a rule, you'd rather play teams down at the bottom. And we've got 3 I like here. So QPR and Sheffield Wednesday, they play 2 of the bottom 5 currently. Sheffield Wednesday play Norwich and Southampton. Yeah, you can make the comments that their team's underperforming, but let's just go with the information we've got on the league table, with over a quarter of the season played now, as we're going to rounds 13, 14, 15. We're coming up to a third of the season played at the end of this round. QPR is a fascinating one, because QPR simultaneously here, they do play 2 of the sides in the bottom 5, Southampton and Sheffield United. However, I'm sure Rangers fans will counter that they actually play 3 parachute teams across this week. So it's all well and good me looking at the league table. They'll say, look at the benches and look at the squads, because QPR face Ipswich on top of Southampton and Sheffield United. So, yeah, maybe further evidence there that use the league table as a starting point for your kind of theories, and then add a bit of nuance as you go, because it never really tells you the full story, does it? The team with the best fixtures in terms of the league table is Leicester. They can say they face 2 of the bottom 4 rather than 2 of the bottom 5. And again, this all relies on Norwich continuing to struggle, really, because they face Blackburn and Norwich do Leicester. But both of those sides are in the bottom 4 currently. So probably Leicester on the league table. Who's got it hard, if you accept the theory that you'd rather face teams that are lower in the table than higher in the table? Well, Wrexham, they face 2 sides in the current top 6. Coventry tonight, actually, will be there on the watch along. Come and join us. And Charlton. Oxford face 2 sides in the current top 5. Millwall and Stoke. Watford and Stoke, who we've just mentioned. You can see there's a top of the table head-to-head in there for Stoke, if they're on both sides of the ledger there. Watford and Stoke face 2 sides in the current top 4. Middlesbrough plus Bristol City. I'm saying a lot of club names here, aren't I? Is who Watford face. Stoke face Bristol City and indeed Coventry. But Birmingham can top all of that. They face 2 sides in the current top 3. That is Millwall and Middlesbrough. Of course, just so I spell this out for someone explaining it to me in the comments, mansplaining it to me in the comments, I do get the idea that literally the second we kick off at Wrexham Coventry, the league table changes, and we are staggered through the week, aren't we? We go Friday night, we go earlies, we go 3 p.m s, then we go Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday night, earlies, 3 p.m s on the back end. So obviously I get at time of recording, but as I repeat, we can only go with the information we've got right now. So in terms of the league table, Leicester like their fixtures. Birmingham probably don't like their fixtures. Let's see if the form table adjusts a little bit. We'll use the 5-game form table rather than the 6-game, being we're so kind of early in the season. Obviously, the further you get in the season, the more disparity you can have between the league table and the form table, i.e. there could be a team right at the top of the table who's banked a load of points that's poor in the form table, but the points they've banked allows them to stay higher in the league table. And then you can flip that down at the bottom. You can have a team that's less likely at the bottom because the pace is so slow, and a couple of wins makes more difference than a couple of defeats maybe at the top of the table. However, the same holds up. Does the form table make any difference? Not massively. We still got Sheffield Wednesday in there. In fact, the form table doubles down. They go from facing 2 bottom 5 teams in the league table. Those teams then become bottom 4 teams in the 5-game form table, Norwich and Southampton. Leicester, again, it doubles down. The form table actually agrees with the league table and doubles down right now. It's probably, as I say, because we're early in the season. Leicester face Blackburn and Norwich, who are currently in the bottom 4 of the league table, but in the bottom 3 of the 5-game form table. In terms of difficulty, it's exactly the same again. Stoke, Bristol City and Coventry we had in the top 4 of the league table. They're also in the top 4 of the 5-game form table. So that tells us Stoke have got it pretty tricky. So there you go. There's some theories. To conclude, Leicester. You should be happy if you're a Leicester fan because they've got the back-to-back home games and they've got good opponent difficulty. Do you know? I'm not being lame here, but all the teams that had difficult opponents do have back-to-back home games or 2 home games in the week. So there's no horrible week where somebody has to play 2 away games and they have really hard fixtures. And the way it's played out, there's nobody who's got kind of 3 of something, i.e. 3 teams in the top 6. That would be pretty unlucky, but plausible and possible. So, look, I've thrown out the teams with difficult fixtures. It is Stoke that comes up in terms of the form table, Birmingham in the league table. But, again, I reiterate, logistically, in terms of travel and recovery, it feels okay for those 2 teams. And I think in Birmingham's case as well, it's the second 2 games. So maybe they could have banked some points and some confidence in the first one against Portsmouth. There you go. There's some theories. Again, it's the beginning of a conversation. And if you're interested in shutting down conversation, then you probably haven't got 10 minutes into a video kind of prognosticating. But yeah, let's open it up. Tell me what you think's going to happen. Tell me what you think of those theories. Enjoy the 3-game week. And I will see you tonight for Wrexham versus Coventry on the watch along. Who we got tomorrow lunchtime? Leicester and Blackburn. There you go. So we're featuring Leicester, who we think have got nice fixtures. Get in there. See you tonight.